Welcome to another edition of the Sports Wrap with Michael Kravetz. I am your host, Michael Kravetz, and on today's show, got a lot of things to get into. I'm going to start it off with the Pittsburgh Penguins. 2 games have completed in the Eastern Conference semifinals with the Ottawa Senators, and for the first time since 2009, the Pittsburgh Penguins have a 2-0 series lead in a playoff series. It's the first time since they had a 2-0 lead on the Carolina Hurricanes in the 2009 Eastern Conference Finals. So in these first 2 games, the common theme was that the Penguins were aggressive, and they were aggressive early. In Game 1, they had a power play the first minute and a half in the game. They capitalized on it with a Paul Martin goal, assisted by Malkin and Brendan Morrow. Ottawa answered right back, though, with a Colin Greening goal about a few minutes later. Then from then on out, Malkin gets the second goal of the game. Then Chris Kunitz a power play goal. And then in the third period, Dupuis gets a shorthanded goal after it was a 2-on-1 break with Douglas Murray. And Dupuis, fantastic shot. He decided not to pass to Murray, and it was just a brilliant, he decided not to pass to Matt Cook, and it was just a brilliant shot up over the left shoulder of Craig Anderson, and the Penguins win Game 1 4-1. And in this game, Tomas Vokoun got the start. Many were speculating, would Fleury get back in net for this series, because you don't know with his psyche if you want to start him in Game 1, but Dan Bosma said, we're going to go with Tomas. He didn't want to make it sound like it was a slam dunk decision to start Tomas Vokoun, but he said, Vokoun 2-0. I mean, he's played great in these playoffs in these 2 games, so we're going to give him a third start. And he stepped up and showed why he is what I believe to be the starting goaltender for the Penguins the rest of these playoffs. 35 of 36, 14 shots he stopped in the first period, and he just played an excellent game. A lot of tough shot opportunities for the Senators, and it was real surprising to see that the Penguins finally outshot the Ottawa Senators. First time in a while that they outshot their opponents, so it was nice to see that in this Game 1. And Jarome Iginla, Pascal Dupuis, Evgeny Malkin, all extending their point streak. They all had a point now in every game of the playoffs, so that was something to pay attention to going forward. And what I noticed in Game 1 of this series were the different line changes. Jarome Iginla was bumped up to line 1, playing alongside Sidney Crosby and Pascal Dupuis, and it looked really effective in this game. Chris Kunitz was moved down to line 2 with Evgeny Malkin and James Neal. They also looked comfortable. So it'll be interesting to see if Dan Bosma would keep these lines the same the rest of the series. And also, Simone Dupre and Mark Eaton, both healthy scratches. Derek England was the 6th defenseman in this game. So I think Bosma just wanted to go with a more tougher style of play. That's why they bring in England, who is a physical force on the Penguins' D. And like I said in Game 1, it was all about the power play for the Penguins. Special teams dominant once again. They go 2 for 3 on their power play, and the penalty kill as well. That's something that has been underrated so far in these playoffs. Everyone's talking about how well the Penguins' power play is working. It's the penalty kill that I think is even better than the power play, because the penalty kill was the Achilles heel for this Penguins team during the regular season, and many people thought that if they lost a series in the playoffs, it would be because of the penalty kill. But they have just done a tremendous job. In Game 1, they killed all 5 penalties for the Senators. They rank now in the top 2, I believe, in penalty kill in the playoffs. So that is another thing you have to look forward to in the rest of the series, is their penalty kill, because it's just been phenomenal. Craig Adams getting the job done, Matt Cook, Brandon Sutter. It's just all-around good special teams for the Penguins. And now you follow that up with Game 2, which took place on Friday night. There were 2 days rest in between Games 1 and 2, which was surprising. But the players, they didn't mind it. Ottawa knew, though, that they needed to come out. They needed to play with a sense of urgency. But it was pretty much the same thing as Game 1. The Penguins got another goal early. This time it was Sidney Crosby scoring about 3.5 minutes into the game. It was really a goal that he did all by himself. He had a great move, a deke move past Carlson, through the 5-hole of Anderson to give the Penguins a 1-0 lead. Early on, Evgeny Malkin and Jarome Iginla had a lot of good opportunities. Malkin's shot hit the post. Iginla was right in front of the net. He couldn't stop it behind Craig Anderson. And for the first 6 minutes of this game, the Penguins were 8-0 in faceoffs, which is something that's a stat you got to look at, because Sidney Crosby had his troubles winning faceoffs in the Islanders series, but he's stepped it up here in the first 2 games of this series. Joe Vitale doing an excellent job as the fourth-line center. What was surprising, though, was that the Penguins had 2 early power plays in the first period, and they did not score on either one. And then they followed that up with Evgeny Malkin just committing a stupid penalty. It was hooking on, I forget which Ottawa player it was, but it was a bad penalty because it was in the offensive zone. It wasn't really needed. And then the Senators answered 12 seconds into the power play. Kyle Turris, it was a soft goal pretty much from the right side that Vokoun should have stopped. That tied the game at 1. And it wasn't a good penalty at all by Malkin, and he knew it. But 3 minutes later, Sidney Crosby answers again with his second goal of the game to give the Penguins a 2-1 lead. He banked the shot off the back of Anderson, who was not hugging the post at the time. So that just goes to show you the kind of ice vision that Crosby has. He could see anything. In the second period, Penguins finally answer with a power play goal, and this time it is Sidney Crosby again. He has the natural hat trick, and believe it or not, this was his first hat trick since 2010, the end of 2010. That's hard to believe. His second career playoff hat trick was a great shot from a little bit above the left face-off circle, and at this point, Sidney Crosby was in Craig Anderson's head, so, excuse me. Coach Paul McLean decided to bring in backup goalie Robin Lehner, and it wasn't because of Anderson's play. He just wanted to try to get the team, rejuvenated back into this game. And for the most part, it worked, because Colin Greening then added a goal 45 seconds later to cut the lead to 3-2. It was another soft goal by Vokoun. He was slow with his glove on the short side, and Ottawa still had a pulse in this game. Then, midway through the period, Penguins were just at the end of a power play. Brennan Morrow, with a nice deflection off a Paul Martin shot, gets it by Lehner, makes the score 4-2 Penguins. And then, late in the period, Tomas Vokoun made a great save on a breakaway with his left pad on Spearing, and then Vokoun got a great save on a Corey Conacher breakaway. So just 2 tremendous saves, that you knew were going to be big in this game. And so then in the third period, Pajot got a great goal. Vokoun was out of the net. It was an easy goal for him. It was 2 minutes into the period. That cut the lead to 4-3. So the Penguins were in for a dogfight. No scoring, though, would take place the rest of the way. The Penguins had a few penalties near the end of the game, but they killed them off. Robin Lehner robbed a beautiful attempt by Evgeny Malkin. He was just all alone in front of the net, but Lehner made the save. But other than that, that was it. The Penguins were able to hold on for the first time, like I said, since 2009, to get a 2-0 series edge in the series. And in this game, Crosby, the 3 goals, the natural hat trick. Paul Martin, Crystal Tang, both with 2 assists each. And this was really the first game of these playoffs, aside from, first game of the playoffs where the Penguins finally outplayed a team 5-on-5. And like many people are saying, if they can continue this in the rest of the series and on into the playoffs, they're going to be probably the toughest team to beat in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Vokoun, not as sharp of a game as Game 1. He had those great saves on the breakaway attempts, but he did allow some soft goals. Finished 19 of 22. Craig Anderson benched after saving 18 of 21. And then Robin Lehner, I think, did an amazing job for coming in. A young goaltender, stopped 20 of 21 shots. He kept Ottawa in this game. But Coach Paul McLean said that in Game 3 tonight, they will go back to Craig Anderson, which I think is the only decision you can make, because you're not going to throw a young goaltender in a situation where they really need to win this game. But other than that, the Penguins feel really good about themselves. And now it's on to Game 3 tonight in Ottawa. And boy, did the Senators get some good news when Jason Spezza, who missed these first 2 games, will return tonight after a 4-month absence because of undergoing back surgery back in June. Spezza is arguably the Senators' best player. He's averaging 80 points a season in a full season. He will boost them at the center position. He's their number one center, and he will definitely help on the power play. The question is, how effective will he be? Coach McLean said that they're not expecting him to play 25 minutes. I would assume maybe about 17 to 18 minutes in this game. I think he'll be used sparingly on the ice, but in key situations when they feel like they need to get a goal. Most likely he'll be playing on a line with Milan McCulloch and Colin Greening, which Greening has showed he can score on Vokoun. So that could be a dangerous line for the Penguins to handle. And the fact that they're the home team, they'll get the last personnel changes, which is always a big factor. Now, the big thing about Game 3 is that the Penguins are going to have to match the desperation level of the Ottawa Senators. In all likelihood, if the Penguins win this game, it's a 3-0 series lead, and you know how rare it is for a team to come back to win 4 straight games, and especially against the talent that the Penguins have assembled, they're even that much difficult to win 4 in a row on. So if the Penguins win this game, I think it's safe to say the series is over, although, you never say it's not over till it's over, but if you're up 3-0 with the team that the Penguins have, I think it's likely that the series is definitely over. Now, I'm saying Ottawa could possibly win 2 in a row, but I just don't think there's any chance the Penguins will lose the series if they take Game 3 tonight at Scotiabank Place. And obviously Craig Anderson has to play better than he did in these first 2 games. Against Montreal in the 5 games, .950 save percentage, 180 goals against average. Against the Penguins in these 2 games, .863 save percentage with a 5.18 goals against average. He has to play a much, much better game for the Senators to have any kind of chance. And with the Game 2 hat-trick by Sidney Crosby, he now has moved into 4th place on the all-time Penguins playoff scoring list. He has 102 now, moving ahead of Ron Francis, and he is now 4 behind Kevin Stevens for 3rd place, so it's likely that he'll pass him in the next couple of games. But yeah, this should be an exciting Game 3. It'll be interesting to see, because in Game 2, Iginla was moved back to line 2 with Malkin and Neal, and Kunitz was bumped up on line 1, so it'll be interesting to see how Bosma rearranges those lines maybe for Game 3. I wouldn't be surprised if they had Iginla half the game on line 1 and half the game on line 2, because I think he works well with Crosby, and he will work well if he's on his right side on line 2. And Kunitz, like I said, he can mesh well with either Crosby, Malkin, Neal, or Dupuis, so it's really a win-win situation so far for the Penguins. But like I said before the series started, I said the Penguins would win in 5 games. I would give the Senators 1. I think that the Penguins will take Game 3. I know the Senators are going to get an emotional lift from Jason Spezza, but I just think either Malkin or Crosby is going to have another big game, getting maybe a few goals and an assist. And I think Ottawa would take Game 4, but then when it comes back to the Consol Energy Center, I think the Penguins would win it in 5. So that's what I see happening, and it'll just be real interesting to see how Vokoun plays. And I also want to bring up one thing. Marc-Andre Fleury now is an afterthought, I think, for this Penguin team. He has a lot of fans. I mean, Vokoun is the guy right now. He is 4-0 in the playoffs. He's done a phenomenal job. And aside from the last game where he let in a few soft goals, other than that, he's been stellar. So the only way I could see Vokoun being benched is if the Penguins lose badly in Game 3. If they lose 2-1, maybe 3-2, I don't see him getting benched. But if they lose like 5-0, 5-1, safe to say that I think Fleury would be back in for Game 4. But that is a what-if, so we'll just see what happens tonight. Game 3, 7:30 at Scotiabank Place in Ottawa. And now we'll be switching over to... Actually, you know what? No. I wanted to comment now a little bit about the rest of the NHL playoffs. Over in the Western Conference, the Los Angeles Kings, the defending Stanley Cup champions, have a 2-1 series lead on the Sharks. They took the first 2 games in LA, and it looked like the series might be over. But as we know, San Jose is a very good home team. They only lost twice there in regulation this past season. They were able to beat the Kings 2-1 to at least have a chance in this series. And you know what? I'm thinking them they're going to win Game 4 at home, because I just can't see them losing at home. With all the talent they have, the home ice is a really strong advantage for them And I could see this series going to 7 games. The other series in the Western Conference, the Red Wings and Blackhawks. The Blackhawks took Game 1, but in Game 2, the Red Wings stole one in Chicago. Pavel Datsyuk, Henrik Zetterberg stepping up. They beat the Blackhawks 4-1, and now with the series tied at 1, go back home to Detroit, the Joe Louis Arena. The Red Wings now have home ice advantage in the series, and Detroit is a very tough team to play at home. You've seen that in the past. You saw that with the Ducks. They did get a win there, but still, these Red Wings are a tough out. So I'm thinking the Blackhawks could get upset. If the Red Wings win both games 3 and 4, I think the series is over. I know the Blackhawks are probably the best team, most complete team right now in the playoffs, but still, if they go down 3-1 to Detroit with all those veterans that they have, they know how to close out a series. And then the other series in the Eastern Conference, the Bruins and the Rangers. Only one game has been played. The Bruins have a 1-0 series lead. They beat the Rangers in overtime. It really was a hard-fought game. I just think the big problem for the Rangers going forth in the series is that it's not Henrik Lundqvist, because he played a phenomenal game. They need their primary scorers to step up. Rick Nash, Brad Richards. They got to get things going, because if Lundqvist is having a great game, he's making all these saves, he's bound to let in 1 or 2. And if your offense can't score, you're not going to win any games. So they have to step it up. I could expect this series going either way. I just think Boston right now, they're on a mission after having that really emotional comeback win over the Maple Leafs in Game 7. They're on a high right now, and if they go up 2-0 in this series, that could be spell danger for the Rangers. Now we will switch into some baseball talk with the Pirates. They just came off they're in the middle of a 10-game homestand. They just came off the 4-game series with the Brewers. And what do you know? The pattern is holding up for these Buccos. Losing the first game, then winning the next 3. It happened in Philadelphia, happened at home against Atlanta, and then it just happened recently on the road in New York. It's hard to explain. I mean, you lose the first one, you come back and win the next 3. I mean, that just goes to show you that the Pirates, in the past, they lose the first one, they'll probably lose the second one, probably the third as well. This is a different team from last year and the years previous. There's no doubt about that. You can't say that they are not better than they were last year, because it's the truth. And I know people are still saying, oh, they're going to collapse, but guess what? This team is different. And they finally had their longest winning streak of the year when they beat the Astros for the next home series in Game 1. So they now have their longest winning streak at 4. Unfortunately, it was snapped yesterday after losing in 11 innings to the Astros. But I want to talk now about this Milwaukee series. And it started with Game 1. Jeff Locke pitched another strong game, going 6 innings, only allowing 3 runs. The offense just couldn't get anything late. Game 1. I'm getting ahead of myself. Game 1 was A.J. Burnett. And in this game, Burnett went 7 innings once again. Gave up 4 runs. Really not his best stuff. The Pirates' offense still really couldn't do anything against Estrada. Estrada is now 4-0 against the Pirates in his career. Milwaukee won the game 5-1. And then Game 2, where the Pirates were to even up the series, Jeff Locke pitched another strong game, going 6 innings, only allowing 3 runs. Vin Mazzaro would get the win because in the bottom of the 12th inning, Andrew McCutchen, a walk-off, lead-off homer off of Mike Fiers to give the Pirates a 4-3 win. And it was an emotional win, to say the least, because we know all the struggles the Pirates have had against the Brewers, not only at Miller Park, but at PNC Park as well. Game 3 of the series, Giovanni Gallardo against Juan Rodriguez. I was at the game, and the Pirates go up early, 2-0. Well, actually, they go up late, 2-0. In the bottom of the 6th, Marte a leadoff double. Marte to third on a wild pitch. Then McCutchen walks. McCutchen steals second, which is a really good sign to see him start running a lot more. Sanchez walks. With the bases loaded, Walker singles to score both Starling Marte and Andrew McCutchen. Ricky Weeks would get a run back for the Brewers in the 7th with a home run to cut the lead to 2-1. But then, in the bottom of the 8th, Travis Snyder had a 1-out single. He went to second on a wild pitch. Andrew McCutchen had to do a fielder's choice, moving to second with Snyder getting tagged out at third. And then Sanchez walks, Kutch steals third, and then Weeks makes a diving play, nice play on Walker's grounder, but the throw to first base, Unieski Betancourt can't hold on to it. Or excuse me, Alex Gonzalez can't hold on to it. McCutchen scores, gives the Pirates that insurance. Jason Grilli notches the save in the ninth, automatic. Pirates take the game 3-1. And then in the finale of the series, Francisco Liriano, spectacular. Another dazzling performance by him. He comes in, pitches 5 2/3 inning, gives up 6 hits, only a run, 7 strikeouts. And really in this game, his fastball topped out at 94 miles per hour. He mixed in his slider, which was around 88 miles per hour. It was really effective getting these Brewers out. And just another strong performance from Liriano, and he's proving that, he could be a steal. Really under the radar free agent signing. He could really help this rotation. Pirates win the game by a final of 7-1 with just an offensive explosion. In the 6th, they get 5 consecutive hits and score 4 runs in the inning. So it was just a nice way to end the series. And then in Friday's game against the Astros, boy, was it a wacky ending. The Pirates were tied, or were down to the Astros 4-2 in the bottom of the 8th. Walker gets a leadoff single, ends up getting to third, and Alvarez hits a 2-run homer, which was a moonshot out of the park, bounced on the Riverwalk and into the water. It was just a titanic shot. I thought it had a chance to make the river on a fly, but it really got the crowd back into it, got the Pirates back into it. And in the bottom of the 9th, I don't think you'll rarely see this ever happening. Bases loaded, 2 outs, a 3-2 pitch to Russell Martin. He pops it up, and it looks like it's just going to be a routine pop-out. Right fielder Jimmy Paredes bumps into second baseman Jake Elmore, and they drop the ball. Snyder scores. The Pirates win it in walk-off fashion for the second time this week. And it was just a microcosm of how wrong things are going for the Astros this season. They have the worst record in baseball, and all I could do was laugh when I saw that happen. The Pirates got the win. They're now 18-0 when leading after 7 innings. Justin Wilson got the win. He's now 4-0 with that's one of the best records among relievers in the National League. And it was just quite a scene, to say the least. And that's how you win ball games sometimes. Just those types of things happen. And then they lost last night with A.J. Burnett giving another quality start. They lose the game in extra innings, 4-2. So far on this 10-game homestand, the Pirates are 4-2. Like I said, if they went 6-4 or better, it would be a success. Right now, they're on their way. The finale of this 3-game series with the Astros will start in about 10 minutes. Jeff Locke going against Lucas Harrell. But now I want to get into some stuff with the Pirates. The first being John McDonald. He's now on the disabled list, and he's now battling 2 injuries, a back strain and now his right elbow. He will go on a rehabilitation assignment, but I think his days are numbered with the Pirates. Jordy Mercer is showing that he can contribute both defensively and offensively now. I think he could be a very good backup to Clint Barmas. The only question is whether they want Mercer to come off the bench, because that is where McDonald is more suited. But if you look at McDonald's numbers, he's 2 for 31, .065 batting average, 8 strikeouts. He really has done nothing for this team. I thought he would provide a little bit more help off the bench just because he's a veteran bat, but he hasn't been able to do that. So I think that'll be very interesting to see where he comes, where he will be after he goes on his rehab assignment, because they could end up just designating him for assignment, or he could be outright released. Because I'm sure a team would want to pick him up just because he's a veteran, and he could provide some depth at the shortstop or second base position. And also, I want to get into A.J. Burnett. There has been a topic going around now for the past couple weeks. I've been hearing on the radio, on TV. Bob Papiani of KDKA has been saying that the Pirates should sign A.J. Burnett to either another 1-year contract, maybe a 2-year contract, a long-term deal. A lot of people are questioning this because Burnett is 36 years old, and you don't know how he's going to perform later on. Well, I agree with Pompiani. I think they should lock up Burnett for a couple more years, because right now there's no signs of him showing you that he is slowing down while he's getting older. He does not have any injury. He's not had a lot of injuries in the past. Last year went 202 in the third innings, so he is an innings eater. Went 16 and 10 last year. He is helping with the younger pitchers in the rotation. Jeff Locke is getting so much information out of him. He helped J-Mac last year, and he's also talking to Jinmar Gomez as well. He is a guy that the Pirates can look up to. They can look to him as a leader, which is something I don't think he wants. I don't think he wants to proudly call himself a leader, but it's just something that he knows that he has to be, being one of the oldest players on the ball club. And he is the number one of your rotation. And if Garrett Cole eventually gets up here, he obviously can learn well from Burnett. And then in the future, if Burnett's still with us, as well as Jameson Taillon too. So if you think about it, if Burnett is still with the Pirates in the long haul, the next couple years, and you think Cole and Taillon will be there and reach their potential, you have them at the top of the rotation. You still have Burnett. You might still have Rodriguez. That's a good for the top four rotation. And to show what Burnett has given the Pirates so far this year and last year, 19 and 14, 3.04 ERA, 259 strikeouts. This year he has 79 strikeouts. He's on pace to get his highest amount of strikeouts in a season. His previous high was 231 in 2008. So yes, and I know people have always said, oh, he's a strikeout pitcher, so he doesn't go deep that much in the games. But guess what? The past 4 games, he's gone 7 innings every time. So it doesn't seem like he's slowing down at all. So I think the Pirates need to get it done. Now the question is, will they dish out the money? Some are saying that maybe it could take $10 million a year for Burnett. I think he really likes it here. I think that if they sign him to a 2-year deal worth about $15 million, about $7.5 a year, I think he would accept it. Now the question is, when do you do it? Obviously, I think they're just going to wait because, Burnett could get injured. He could miss the rest of the season at some point. I don't know how long you wait, though. I think that if the Pirates are still in the thick of a race at the end of July, beginning of August, that's when you sign him to a long-term deal. But there's a chance they could get it done earlier than later. And if you look at the team right now, 25 and 18, like I said, it's their best 43-game start to a season since '92. Winning percentage of .581. They're 2.5 back of the Cardinals, 1 back of the second place Cincinnati Reds, 3rd place of the division. And if the season ended today, obviously it's early. It's only a little bit of a quarter way through the season. They'd be the second wild card team in the playoffs. But that's still a long way to go. There's still over 115 games left to be played. So, still a long way off. But the rest of this homestand, they still have the finale with the Astros, and then they're off Monday, and then a 3-game series with the Cubs. And, the Pirates have had the Cubs' number recently in the past couple years, but I'm sure they want to go out and at least win that series too. And they'll be facing Jeff Samardzija as well, so you know that they're going to want to try and get some revenge for their opening day game when Samardzija handled the Bucs quite easily. And I also want to talk now about the MLB replay expansion. The idea of expanding video review by the umpires next season. Just some background information. Replay was introduced back in 2008 for home run calls only. C-League wanted to use it for trap plays and fair or foul calls this year, but that was not accepted. Joe Torre is hoping that they will have some more proposals ready for their next meeting in mid-August. Now, 2 plays recently have been discussed, and it's really moving along the conversation of expanding video review further on. And these 2 plays, I'm sure you remember about them. Oakland's Adam Rosales was denied a tying home run in the 9th inning at Cleveland May 8th. Angel Hernandez was the crew chief. His umpiring crew reviewed the video, and they still denied Rosales of the home run. And the replay clearly showed that the ball went over the fence. Obviously, the Athletics were going to lose that game. Then the next day, Field and Colbert's crew allowed Houston manager Bo Porter to improperly switch relievers in the middle of an inning, leading to a 2-game suspension for Colbreth. That is just unacceptable. That's a rule that you should know day one. MLB, they've been a league where they're trying be more updated with this technology. They're trying to become more modern. They don't want to. A lot of people are saying the umpires, they shouldn't even be here. They shouldn't even be in baseball in the next 10 years. They should just have a machine calling balls and strikes and determining if it's fair or foul. They experimented at New York, at Yankee Stadium and at Citi Field with 2 kind of technologies that they might try to institute in the next couple years. They use the Hawkeye animation system that is used to judge line calls in tennis. And they also use the TrackMan radar software, which is used by the PGA Tour. And so I think things are going to come closer on this. I think we're going to know if video replay will be expanded by next year, this summer. And if that happens, the debate then will will replay officials be in the ballparks, in booths, or will there be a central station like there is in hockey where they go back to the headroom in Toronto? So, personally, my opinion about this, I feel that MLB replay should be expanded only because we're coming to a point where more games are being influenced by these wrong calls, even though they're being reviewed. Obviously, I'm not a fan of looking at fair and foul calls, trap plays, because human mistake is part of the game, and it might slow down the game even more. And we all know how slow-paced baseball can be, so I think that will be a little troubling. But to get a call right, especially if it's in the playoffs, a regular season game that will matter to a team about clinching a playoff spot possibly, I think it's important to get those calls right. So I think they definitely need to expand the replay if they want to have a more efficient, correctly run game. And finally, the last topic of the show, the NBA playoffs. The finals are set now. In the Western Conference, it is the Memphis Grizzlies taking on the San Antonio Spurs. The Grizzlies, in a surprise, they upended the defending Western Conference champion Oklahoma City Thunder in 5 games. Really, the Thunder just couldn't match up with the Grizzlies well enough. With the absence of Russell Westbrook, they just didn't have enough offensive firepower. Durant couldn't carry the team by himself. And I'm not using that as an excuse for him, but he is one of the best players in the game. So he needed to find a way to help his team win, but he just couldn't. So the Grizzlies now on to the Western Conference Finals, where they meet the San Antonio Spurs. The veteran, savvy team had a tough 6-game series with the young Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry, though, with his injury late in the series, just couldn't help the Warriors try to take this series against the Spurs. So we got a matchup of 2 veteran teams. Grizzlies have a couple veteran players. And in the series, it's a battle of the big men, really. The Spurs have Tim Duncan, Thiago Splitter. The Grizzlies, their offense goes through Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol. So I think whoever wins between the battle of the big men will win this series. And my pick, I'm going with the Grizzlies. I think that they are on a mission. The Spurs, I know they have a lot of leadership. They have a lot of guys that have been there before, won championships. But I just think the Grizzlies are that much hungrier. I think they'll take the series in 7 games. I think it'll go to 7. And I think it'll be a really good series. Over on the Eastern side, the Miami Heat dispatched the Bulls rather quickly. After the Bulls went up 1-0, you thought, okay, this might be a series where the Bulls take the Heat with their physicality. But the Heat win 4 in a row. The Bulls were just too beat up. They couldn't do it a second series in a row without Kirk Heinrich and Luol Deng. And it was it was a hard-fought series on the Bulls side. A lot of technical fouls. It was a very physical series, but the Heat were able to win. Game 5, they won by 3 points in Miami. And then the last series, it just wrapped up last night in Indiana. The Knicks tried to make it they had a late run. The game was close late in the fourth quarter, but the Pacers pulled away, beating the Knicks 106-99 to win the series, 4-2. The bad shooting of Carmelo Anthony and the poor play of J.R. Smith were two big reasons why the Knicks did not advance. The Pacers just had too much. With George Hill coming back after his concussion, they now will take on the Miami Heat in what should be a fun series. The Pacers, one of three teams to have a winning record against the Heat this year, along with the Knicks and Bulls. So that'll be an interesting series. I do think, though, the Miami Heat will make it to a third straight NBA Finals. I just don't think the Pacers have enough to match up with the Heat offensively. So, and I think they're going to turn the ball over. They turned it over way too much against the Knicks. I think they're going to end up turning it over a lot against Miami. So I end up seeing it be Miami and Memphis in the NBA Finals. And I think that would be a good series. But who knows? Could end up being Indiana and San Antonio for all I know. But it'll just definitely be a good matchup in both conference finals. And it'll be fun to watch. But that'll do it, though, for today's show. It was a rather short one. Next week's show, be talking more about the NBA playoffs, the rest of the NHL playoffs. Well, the Penguins have the series wrapped up against the Senators. Game 3 tonight, Game 4 Tuesday, Game 5, if necessary, will be on Friday. The Pirates, they have their 3-game series against the Cubs, and they go on the road back to the House of Horrors at Miller Park. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out for the Buccos. And any other latest Steeler news happening as well. Oh, and I did want to mention shortly that the Steelers did sign their first draft pick. It was 4th round pick, safety Shamarko Thomas out of Syracuse. So they really like what they see in him. They think he can provide depth. He'll definitely be a backup. He'll most likely be at the free safety position. So they're on their way to signing the rest of their draft picks. So we'll keep you updated with that as well. So you just listened to the Sports Wrap. Signing off, I'm Michael Kravetz.